Hello, everybody. Just wanted to come on here quickly and give a talk on how you relate to either your parents or your children. I had a friend of mine over this morning for coffee, and as we were sitting here at the kitchen table, we were discussing how, well, because we're older, how we relate to our children, and then vis-a-vis how our children relate back to us. Now I've got a 36 and a 32-year-old. The 32-year-old right now, of which is not speaking to me. However, I do have a 36-year-old, and him and I we've always just, for whatever reason, have always had a great relationship. Now, what I wanted to talk about here this morning is the conversation that this friend of mine and I had was about, especially as parents, if you are a parent, talking to your children. And it reminded me of what I mentioned to my friend, and that was like long before my mother passed. About 5, 6 years before my mother passed, she would give me a call and she would say, Judson, James, what are you doing? This is like at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, I owned a company and I was heading downtown to meet with either the head of IT or an IT group or whatever the case may be. You need to cancel your plans. I've got a bunch of errands and you need to take me. So I would email my whoever I was going downtown or up to the northeast part of the city or way down to the southwest. And oh yeah, it's your mom. Go look after your mom. So I go over and I'd pick my mom up and I'd take her for coffee. And the first thing she would do when she's sitting across from me is she'd reach her hand out and she'd put it on my arm because she knew I worked like a half-raped ape in a jungle, just going 90 miles an hour with my hair on fire running my business. And she'd look at me right in the eyes and she'd say, how are you doing? And oftentimes, as children, we don't really appreciate the fact that our parents, want to know how we're doing. We're so busy in life. I know I was. I don't know about you. Maybe you can throw your comments down in the comments section. I was so busy. I was a full-time single dad for after I separated. My kids wanted to live with me, and I was running my business. And then I was like, did the most idiotic thing on the planet because I'd worked so many years in the oil industry, almost a couple of decades. I ended up going to work for a friend of mine for an oil company doing consulting work. So throwing that on top of being a full-time single dad, running my business, and then I had no life. I really had no life, and this brings me back to my mother's comment to me. Excuse me, and that was hand on my arm, asking me, "How are you doing, son?" And it caused me to stop. It literally caused me to stop in my tracks, and that was what my friend and my conversation this morning was about. And that is, do you take as a parent the time to put your hand out, reach out to your perhaps you know grown son or daughter, or even if it's your child, if you still have small kids, or if you don't have kids and you just want to get together with your dad or your mom and you ask them, you reach out to them and go, are you okay? How are you doing? Not are you okay? How are you doing? It's amazing what will come out. Now, because I had my hair on fire, I was like not really that, excuse me, that dialed in enough to slow myself down to say, usually I just comment to my mom, I'm doing good. It's like, because I seem to have always been in a rush. And if you're a parent, you know what that's like. Excuse me, especially my youngest was 13, my oldest was 17 at the time that I became a full-time single dad. But it's interesting to take a look at how you respond when you're asked, how are things going? Like, you okay? And that's a question I want to ask for you to ask yourself, like in those moments before bedtime when you're getting undressed, you're maybe sitting on the edge of your bed. Because I know most people don't meditate like me. I'm one of those anomalies. I love to meditate because what it does for me is it quiets my mind. It calms, not it, the process of my meditational practice. And this is the 16 meditational practices that the Buddha actually handed down to people. So I know that not everybody's going to meditate, and that's fine. I mean, do whatever you need to do to get your boots pulled up in the morning to get going with your day. When you're sitting on your bed at night, ask yourself that question: how am I doing? Not what fires did I put out today? Oh my God, I need to this or take a breath, breathe out, take another breath in, breathe out, and ask yourself, how am I doing? How am I doing? Because you'll be surprised at what comes up for you. It's amazing. Have yourself a wonderful day. James with Wisdom Shift. If any of this sounds kind of like, wow, off the wall, wonder where the hell that came from, throw your thoughts down in the comments section and give a like if you would. I'd really appreciate it. And subscribe too if you have a half a mind to. Have yourself a great Thursday and talk to you soon.